I'm new to the streets, Ken Efseroff. We are coming to you from the National Investment Banking Association conference at the, let's try it again. I'm new to the streets, Ken Efseroff, and we are coming to you from the National Investment Banking Association conference at the Westin Hotel in Midtown Manhattan. Joining me now is Brad Busher. He's the executive chairman of Aurora, Colorado-based 3DBiopsy Incorporated. Thanks for joining us here on New to the Street.
Thank you, Ken. It's a pleasure to be with you.
It is our pleasure. Let's get right to it. For people just tuning in, looking and wanting to know about the name and what you guys do, what is 3DBiopsy Inc.?
3DBiopsy is a new diagnostic system for interventional radiology and prostate cancer. In effect, what the founders of the company came up with was a way to diagnose cancer in men earlier and more accurately using a four-part system. Image guidance, a new biopsy device, a new needle, and most importantly, a new way to manage the pathology on the back end.
You guys treat a type of cancer that affects half of the world's population at some point in their lives. That's a real daunting task.
It does. This is something that's going to touch all of us, Ken. Matter of fact, how I got interested is it happened to me.
That was my next question.
It happened to me, and I decided to ask the next follow-on question. I had a rising PSA. I had an enlarged prostate gland that my urologist had examined. They did a biopsy. It came back negative, but it was going up, and he goes, look, I can either burn it out, cut it out, or put you on active surveillance, but you probably got something growing in there. And I said, there's got to be a better answer. That's wrong. And I conducted, frankly, a worldwide search, led me to these two guys, Dr. Nelson Stone from Mount Sinai and David Crawford in Colorado, who had been collaborating to come up with a new system, learned about it and said, guess what, fellas, I'll be your guinea pig. And I had the first mapping biopsy done, which turned out, in my case, they didn't find a problem. They found out that I had a bad case of prostatitis.
That must have been a relief for you.
Of course it was, but more importantly, there's about 66% of the men that have biopsies every year that overtreat. And once you lose your gland, you're buying a bill of goods. They don't tell you the truth, Ken. There is no such thing as your intimate life afterwards. The aha moment is lost, let alone all the other problems with incontinence and collateral infections and bladder issues and whatnot.
What do you get personally out of dealing with prostate cancer, aside from what you had to deal with personally about helping others? Why that?
Well, I want to help change the paradigm. We need a new gold standard to come up with so that men can avoid being overtreated or undertreated, in the case where they miss these things. And indeed, once this map is in now, you've got optionality that you didn't have before.
What if people are thinking about putting their investment dollars in the prostate space, specifically in 3DBiopsy Incorporated, if somebody down the road wants to say, I want to put my money and invest with those people?
Well, we'd probably say, please come in, we're going to need help. In our particular case, we think we're the new platform for what is going to evolve from this, which is focal therapy. How do you ablate a gland if you don't know where the target is? Well, I can tell you what they do. They ablate it by taking half of it away or possibly killing it all with cryo-radiation. Now, if you can imagine in space taking a target, we're going to go just to that spot rather than take the whole area, that's going to be a value add. The longer you can preserve the gland, theoretically, the better it's going to be for the guy.
And who is your patient?
Well, our patient is anybody that, like myself, that is going and showing, and I'm 62 now, that's having a rising PSA. He's having probably some kind of prosthetic involvement where he's having difficulty urinating, and he goes in for an exam, and that person is going to now say, okay, let's go do a biopsy. Well, rather than go through multiple and often misleading biopsies, let's just do this mapping on the front end.
What differentiates 3DBiopsy Incorporated from others within the multi-billion-dollar space of prostate cancer?
The technology that currently exists is old. It's a transrectal approach. So basically it's in your doctor's office where they go through the rectum, they go through the sidewall, they take a 12-core sample, and they don't know where it came from. So you either get the good news or the bad news. And if you get the bad news, they give you those three unfortunate options. Now you're going to have an idea to say, maybe you don't have any at all, which would be great news. Maybe you have some, but it's right here. Or maybe you've got some that is going to require what they call whole gland, ablation, either taking it out or or removing it with cryo or radiation.
Before I let you go, last question. What is in the pipeline for 3D Biopsy Incorporated 6 months out and a year out? What's the next big thing?
Well, interventional radiology is probably even bigger than the prostate space, and that covers all the other organs in your body. Lung, liver, kidney, spleen, possibly your pancreas, your thyroid. All of those are using old antiquated tool sets. And of course for women, breast cancer today is a very large problem, and oftentimes the way they're diagnosing it is called lumpectomy, which is really breast destruction surgery, not breast conservation surgery. With this prospective development, they'll be able to get on target, show exactly what the dimensions are of the lesion, and just treat that area.
Well, thanks for joining us here on New to the Street. Come back to us and give us a full, up-to-date guideline on what you guys are doing going forward.
Be happy to do that, Ken. Thank you.
It's our pleasure. Brad Busher, 3D Biopsy Incorporated.
Thank you.